Alright, so let's start analyzing the Spanish, and in this first chapter we'll see this line, the line where black plays d6 on the third move, and this is also known as the Steinitz. Classical line by black, cannot be underestimated, and I feel white is going to get the advantage with natural play, but as I was saying, black is solid and his position can't be underestimated. So after d6, as white, I like playing d4. I think this is the most active approach, and we also limit black's options. We can also castle, that's another possibility. But then black has extra options such as bishop here, bishop d7, knight f6. So I like d4, and now black has got two moves, taking on d4 or playing bishop d7. As I was saying, we'll limit his options. And of course, we'll study both e takes d4 and bishop d7. In this video, we'll start with e takes d4, knight takes d4. Now bishop d7 is the most natural move by black, and here I like the move knight c3. White has other possibilities like castling kingside, but knight c3, I think this is more flexible for white, just in case we overprotect our bishop on b5, and depending on the situation, we can even consider castling queenside in the future. So knight c3, as I was saying, I think it is more flexible for white. Probably both knight c3 and castling kingside are leading to the same position, but you know, I like being precise in the opening, so knight c3 is a move I like. And here black plays knight f6. There's another option, and we'll also study this in future chapters. Black, he can also play this move, trying to play bishop here and developing the knight via e7. This is another setup we'll study later. So knight to f6, knight c3, knight f6. This is sort of our starting position to analyze the Steinitz. And the game you'll find on the PGN files is Shirov against Kuderinov. This game was played in the FIDE World Cup in 2005. And after knight f6, here white took on c6. This is the structure we are looking for when we play this system as white. We want to take on c6 with our bishop. And this is, from the positional point of view, it's a huge decision by white. We know we are going to break black's pawn structure, but at the same time we are offering our bishop pair. So, as I was saying, this is a huge positional decision by white. The other option would be taking on c6, but then black, he can take with a pawn. Now we have to waste a move moving our bishop. We have to move the bishop again, and usually black, well, bishop e7 is quite solid. And then this, also g6 and bishop g7, he's got the b file. Believe it or not, our bishop on d3 is not that useful, whereas knight d4, I mean, if we take this way, our knight on d4 is quite useful in this position, as we'll see in this chapter. So that's why on c6 we take with bishop b5. Just before I finish this comment, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop d3. Another maneuver black has in positions like this. Okay, he can castle, he can try rook e8, bishop f8. He's got some pressure on e4. Also maneuvers like this are likely to happen. The b file, I mean, that position is balanced, but black, he's got some possibilities. And again, our bishop on d3, I don't think it's that useful. And before we close this line, it is important to know the pros and cons. Black, apart from the line we just saw, I think this is the more accurate line for black. He plays like this. There's no attack for white on the king side, and he's got some queen side possibilities with the g7 b2 diagonal plus rook b8. And this line as well. This is something I like playing as black if I have the chance. So with that line clarified, we can go to the main line, which is bishop takes c6. This is the line we are going to play, and black usually takes with the b pawn. He wants to keep the bishop pair. He knows his pawn structure is not the best, but at least he's got the pair of bishops, and that is compensating the fact his queen side is weak. If he takes with the bishop, this is another possible line. Here I think white gets the advantage by simple means. We take, sorry about my voice, b takes c6, and now there is a game, Bosisic against Belhan. You can find this on the PGN files as well, where white got a clear advantage by playing simple moves. Queen f3, I like this move. As we'll see in the main line, queen f3 is always a possibility because e5 is likely to happen. So black played queen d7. Here we understand why our knight c3 in the opening was more flexible. We haven't castled yet, so now we can castle. We can also try playing like this, and then we can castle queenside. Definitely white is having a risk-free advantage. Black, he doesn't have the bishop pair, he's got a weak queenside, so it's equal to say the least. And I mean, white, he's like free rolling for the advantage. And to be fair, in this position, I think white is slightly better to say the least. When I was saying equal is best black can hope for is equality in positions like this. There's no way he's better. Whereas white, he's got a better position, better pawn structure, a lot of ideas. As I was saying, castling kingside or b3, bishop b2, and castling queenside, e5. The only compensation black had was the bishop pair, and now bishop pair is gone. So if he takes on c6, he's definitely taken with the pawn. So after b takes c6, now we come back to the game Shirov against Kuderinov, and now I like the move queen f3. I really like the approach white is playing in this game. We can also castle, of course we can castle, but queen f3 is being flexible. Again, we keep the door open for moves like e5. Knight f5 is now stronger. Depending on what he plays, I can develop my bishop like this, or even b3 and bishop b2. That's another possibility I like. And in this game, black played c5. Another move is rook b8. And here I found a good game played between Jenny against Gunnarsson. Another game you'll find on the PGN files, the analysis. b3 was played in this game, and after bishop e7, here white, instead of playing the simple bishop b2, which I think leads to a clear advantage for white, I mean knight f5 is on the way, we will definitely have a kingside attack. I even imagine playing moves like h3 and g4 at some point. I mean, I would love to castle, but maybe black has moves like this. Although, even in this case, after bishop g4, c6 is hanging, so I don't know. I mean, it's like white, as I was saying, he gets the advantage by simple means. So this move, rook b8, is possible, but black, I mean, if I were black, I would develop my king side first. Following this game, Jenny against Gunnarsson, bishop e7. Here white played e5, and this move is also interesting. This is one of the things that may happen in this line. The e5 push followed by knight takes c6. This is a forced trade, queen takes, queen d7, and usually the arising endgames are better for white, because we have a better pawn structure. We know his queen side is weak, his bishop is, as you know, is crashing into the pawn structure, especially if he plays a move like f6, and as white we can place more pieces on light squares, maybe knight d5, we can castle queenside, we can play f3, and our bishop is definitely better than his. So again, risk-free advantage for white. But to be honest, against this rook b8, I would never enter an endgame. I mean b3, bishop e7. This endgame is alright, what we just saw, but white, he can get a better position by simple means, and here I would be ready to start the attack. Maybe h3 just in case to stop bishop g4. Even a move like this, the fearless queenside castle, and if he plays this move, well, knight takes c6, he takes the queen, I take on d8, he takes on d1. That doesn't look like working, but we can even consider a move like this. We have every single piece targeting black's king on the king side, so if he takes on d1, here we already have tactics, and we win with knight takes c6. We attack the queen, we attack the bishop on e7, he has to move the queen, now we take on e7 with check, queen takes, and now we finish him off by means of knight d5. If he takes the knight, we mate him on g7, and if he moves the queen, we take on f6 with check, we can grab the bishop later, and this is game over. I can even take with the bishop. This is also winning, because then, well, I attack on g7 and then I can take the bishop later. So, decisive advantage for white. This is good to know, because at first glance it looks like bishop g4 is a good move for black, but it is definitely a bad move because we have a strong attack on the g file, and maybe here he has to play something else, but once we play this move, then knight f5 is coming, h3, g4, even queen g3, and the attack continues. I also see, and this is something that might happen as well, I also see variations like e5 followed by knight takes c6. This is what we saw before, but this is an improved version for us because we already have the rook on d1, so not a comfortable position for black. It's like his rook on b8 is not doing much, our b3 is just too solid, our castle on the queen side is too solid, so no attack for black there, we're just safe. So this line, and especially this move order where we don't castle, I think it's quite precise from white. Knight c3, coming back to the game sheet of Kuderinov, knight f6, bishop takes, pawn takes, now queen f3. So black in this game, he plays c5. What we saw before was rook b8, c5. Here white plays knight f5. I like this move. Imagine if we trade everything off, then we'll have a better endgame because of the pawn structure, because of the weaknesses on black's camp, like d5. His bishop is not good, especially when he plays the move c5. Bishop f8 is not very good. So we are really interested in this trade. But black has to take. If he doesn't, then he won't have an easy way of finishing his development. If he plays a move like this, then we just play knight h6. He cannot move knight f6 because of the mate on f7. Bishop g5 is coming next. And, well, maybe a move like this, but he's gonna be under a pin for the rest of the game. e5 is also a trick. Knight d5. I mean, this is game over. It's unbelievable, but black has no easy way to free his position. And also, I mean, if he plays a move like this, just to stop this move, he cannot castle because we control the g8 square, so I can still play this move, and black, I mean, what is he gonna do with the king on e8, right? e5 is coming next, I can castle queenside. So, after the move knight f5, he has no choice but to take. He has to take. And here is where Shirov plays an amazing move, which is pawn takes f5. It is a tough move to play, because the standard move queen takes f5 looks safe for white. Black, as the analysis says, this is analyzed by Grandmaster Postny, queen d7. Here white, he can trade on d7, he can also play queen f3. Black, he can play not knight g4, queen here instead. And, I mean, he's close to equality, but still, I think the endgame is easier for white. At least the engine says this is better for white, and I agree. Not because the engine says so, because the pawn structure is better, and because black's bishop is not very good. So, overall, I think white has a risk-free advantage. But we know Shirov, an aggressive player, he decides to take with a pawn. And I also like this because now we have full control of light squares. We might play like this. Maybe if we get rid of the knight, then we can play something like knight d5. And as I was saying, his bishop is not very good. So e takes f5, definitely an interesting move for white. Black played rook b8. A smart move. To be fair, that rook on a8 was hanging, and black needs to free his queen on d8. So rook b8, white played b3. It's, I mean, the more I look at this line, the more I understand why white played knight c3 in the opening, why white delays this move. Here we see the importance of playing like this. White is definitely castling queenside in this line. We can also castle kingside. I mean, that's also a possibility, but if we castle kingside, then it's not easy for us to fire a pawn storm, because our king is there. However, if we play like this, if we castle queenside, then we can easily advance our pawns on the king side, and our attack looks unstoppable. So, this game, Shirov against Kuderinov, I think it's a model game in this line. Rook b8, b3. Now black played bishop e7. If he tries playing something else, I mean a move like queen e7 check, it's not gonna work, because I can even play king f1. The queen on e7 is in terrible shape. Bishop here is coming, rook e1. His king has no way to find safety. So the check on e7 is not helping. It's not helping black, it is helping us. So bishop to e7, I mean rook b8, b3, bishop e7, and here Shirov plays the natural bishop b2. By the time this game was played, this move was a novelty, and I mean, it is the most natural move in that position. However, there is another move I also like, which is bishop f4. This was played by Timofeyev against Kazakov, and White got an excellent position in that game as well. He played like this. Black tries freeing his position with knight d7. This is a great try, to be honest. And White plays h4. Smart move. We need to open the h file. And it's funny, our king is still on e1. But if we can afford playing with the king on e1 in a position like this, that means we have the advantage. Otherwise, we are at move 14, otherwise we should be castled somewhere at this point. But, we have space advantage, black has no threats, no direct ways to reach our king, so we can definitely afford playing with the king in the center, at least now. And after knight d7, h4, I love this move before he blockades the h file. Now if he takes, of course, we play queen h3. And if he doesn't, if he plays bishop f6, which is what he played, then we castle queenside, and knight d5 is coming, g5 is coming, and usually these positions are much better for white. You can check this game, it is on the PGN files. And coming back to the main game, Shirov-Kuderinov, in this position, after bishop e7, bishop b2, black, well, he could have castled here, but he played d5. We castle queenside, we continue attacking. Now black is the one with the king in the middle and no development, and here he plays c6. If he played d4, there's not really a threat, because he's under a pin, we can just play a move like this. And even if we play an endgame, his pawn structure is getting worse and worse. He's full of weaknesses, so even a quiet move or a quiet approach for white is good here. I imagine queen c6 check, this, queen takes, knight takes, knight a4, and again, this is not great looking for black. If anyone's better, it is white, so even the quiet approach is good for white here, but needless to say, with his king in the middle, with his weak queenside, with pawn on f5, the right approach here is to attack. So this game is a great game. I recommend you analyze the full game. Black played c6, white played this, and it is a game you have to see, because not only you'll understand this opening better, you'll also get the chance to see an attacking game and learn chess, attacking chess in general. So the game is Shirov-Kuderinov. You'll find this on the PGN files, as I was saying, and this is just the beginning of our analysis of this Steinitz line. There's much more on the next chapter. We'll see other lines. We need to see what happens after bishop d7. We need to see lines like this, where black plays this move, g6, instead of knight f6, and much more. So I'll try my best to keep analyzing ideas, not only specific lines. So hopefully you found this video useful, and I want to see you guys on next chapters. Thank you. Okay, so we continue working on the Spanish Steinitz variation, and now we'll focus on the game Berg against Baiklum. You have this on the PGN files, so knight to f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, same line, we were analyzing on the first chapter. So d4 takes, knight takes d4, bishop d7, knight c3. Remember this precise move order by white. Knight to f6, bishop takes, pawn takes, queen to f3, and now another move from black, which is bishop to e7. On the first video, you probably remember the game played by Shirov. We saw rook b8 and also c5. But to be fair, bishop e7 is by far black's most natural move in this position. So here, white has a lot of possibilities, from castling short to playing something like b3, h3. We have a lot of possibilities. However, the move I like is e5. If we know this well enough, then we'll be getting the advantage. And e5, as you can see, is quite direct. It is a direct approach from white. Another possibility, as I was saying, is castling. Maybe, if I'm not playing e5, then I would play b3, just to be flexible. But black has also interesting possibilities here, like castling. I can play bishop b2. As white, I'm still not showing my cards, although I would be inclined to castle kingside. And usually black plays like this. It is a slow positional game where the side who plays better chess is the one that's going to win. It is a position with chances for both sides. But as I usually say, I'm inclined to choose white's position because of the pawn structure. So now talking about precise moves in this position. By the way, I think this is important to see. The game Berg against Baiklum, we get this position by a different move order. Black plays like this. He doesn't play knight c6. He's playing what we know as, I think this is called Philidor. Yeah, this is a Philidors. Also Brazilian defense, I think, this move order. But this has nothing to do with what we are studying, but interestingly enough, we see after bishop b5, bishop d7 takes, we get the same position from the Steinitz variation. So our actual move order is a45, knight f3, knight c6, and then, okay, d6, takes, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, bishop takes, pawn takes, queen f3, so far following the first game we saw. And after bishop e7, this is the position we are going to study now. And the move I like here is e5. Again, a direct approach by white. And black here, he has to play knight d5. This is his best chance. So you can see the other possible move is d takes e5. Other than that, he has no possibilities. If he plays knight here, then we simply win a piece by means of e6. So knight d5 is his best move. However, we'll see d takes e5 first. So here, we'll just take on c6. He has to take the knight. We play queen takes, and now black is in a tough spot because he cannot play queen d7. As you can see, rook a8 is hanging. So, and even if he manages to trade queens off, the endgame is still better for us. But here, knight d7 or king f8 are the only moves for black. And if knight d7, this is not fixing black's issues because we play a move like bishop e3, rook d1 is coming, even castling queenside, and then it's almost impossible for him to get rid of the pin. There's a well-known game played by Alakine where black castles, white castles queenside, bishop here, and now both knight b5 or knight e4, we reach an endgame with an extra pawn and a winning advantage as well. Not only we have an extra pawn, we have a bishop against his knight, so that's an extra advantage for us. So after queen takes c6, it looks like the only move for black is king f8. He cannot castle, he's in check, so king f8, and now white gets the advantage by simple means. I don't see any way black castles by hand. His king is gonna be on f8 for a while, so rook d1 is coming, so it's bishop e3. If he plays like this, trying to castle by hand, we play bishop h6 check, and he's toasted. King here, he's down a rook for the time being, rook a1, and that's pretty much it. Black is lost. So, tough position for black after e5. He has to play knight d5. That's probably the only move he has. Again, this, I don't want to say white's winning, but it is definitely a clear advantage for us. So, after e5, this is black's best try. Maybe he's down a pawn, but at least he's got some development and he's got the bishop pair. As I say in most of my videos, material is not as relevant as development, so black has to play knight d5. Okay, here knight takes d5 is what white played in the main game, which, as I was saying, is Berg against Baiklum. That is the game you'll find on the PGN files. There's another move though. Knight takes d5 is not the only move we have. Knight takes c6 is also possible. It looks a bit scary at first glance because, well, bishop takes c6, knight takes d5, and we are pinning ourselves. But this is also a clear advantage for white. I mean, if we know this beforehand, if this is home preparation for us, we know c4 is there, we know our knight is safe, and we also know that after d takes e5, then, well, c4 is an option, but knight f6 check is just crushing. He has to take, we play queen takes c6, and again, black, he cannot play queen d7, because rook a8 is hanging. Therefore, he has to move his king. Once he moves the king, I play bishop e3, and this is also game over. He cannot castle by hand, he cannot finish his development, and he has no coordination. So, another good line for white to just take on c6 after knight d5. This, bishop takes, knight takes, according to the analysis by Grandmaster Berg, he analyzed this game. The best chance for black is to play queen d7, but here we can just castle. He's gonna take on e5, he needs to get the pawn back at some point. Here we play rook d1, and black is still in bad shape. He cannot castle, he has to play something like bishop d6, we play c4, and look at this position. We have a powerful knight on d5, maybe c5 is a threat in some positions, bishop e3, we have a great pawn structure as well, and what's more important, his bishop pair is not useful. I mean, those bishops are not finding great diagonals, they are not finding activity, and black is having a lot of issues, positional issues, in this position. So I think this line with knight takes c6 is good enough for an advantage. White in the game, he took the other way with knight takes d5, c takes, and now he played queen takes d5, and here black correctly castled. That position, I still think it's better for white, but we need to be careful because that bishop pair cannot be underestimated. We also have to remember we have the king in the center, so we need to be careful as white. And just to analyze this a bit more. Queen takes d5. Here black castles, because if he takes like this, I play knight c6. This reminds me of a variation we already saw. This, queen takes, now queen d7 is not possible, and again, these positions are just lost for black. He cannot play with the king on f8. So, in this game, Berg against Baiklum, this queen takes, black castles kingside. Here white played bishop f4. Suddenly, that position is quite messy, and black has enough resources to equalize, or even more after c5. This is quite tricky to play in practice. As I was saying, we still have the king on e1, so yeah, in the game, black played this move, and apparently after bishop takes, queen takes, and knight f3, white keeps a clear edge. Queen takes, rook here. I can even castle queenside. And yes, white looks better. But as I was saying, after bishop f4, this looks like a better option. And black, all he has to do is open that position. He's got the bishop pair, so if he opens that position and finds activity while our king is on e1, then we are in trouble. That's, logic chess. There's nothing to do with calculating precise moves. Black here, he has to play using concepts. He's got the bishops. All he has to do is open that position as soon as possible, try to get an attack with our king on e1. That's what he has to do. White, on the other hand, he has to give his pawn back, castle as soon as possible, and hopefully we can try getting one of these bishops. That's what we need to do in this position. So, again, after knight d5, I think knight takes c6 is the right approach. This is the first variation we saw. And we know here, with the threat of knight f6, with the possibility of playing c4, we have a clear advantage. In the main game, after knight d5, knight takes, pawn takes. Here white is also better, but this requires precise play. And in practice, it's not that easy. As we can see in this game, black had the chance of, mess that position up, and we still have the king on e1. So the other take, not taking on d5, but taking on c6, that is the right approach, and I don't see anything for black, to be honest. I think white has a slight advantage, to say the least, and probably more. Remember here, queen d7 is his only move. If he plays this, he's lost. Knight f6, this, queen takes, queen d7 is not possible, so king f8. We know the assessment of these positions. He has no development, therefore he's losing. So, yeah, as long as we know queen d7, we can castle this rook d1 and c4. As long as we know this is good, then we are just fine. And the final assessment, as I was saying, is slight advantage for white, or even a clear advantage. Those bishops, they cannot find the activity they need. So I recommend you watch the game. You'll find all this analysis on the PGN files, and you can also see the main line. We recommend this, but still it is good to analyze entire games, just in case, just to get a feeling of what can happen in these lines we are studying. It is good to know the structures and the possible lines as well. So that's gonna be all for this chapter. I hope you found this useful. I hope you could learn something. And of course, I want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.